pew, pew, pew. I paused for dramatic effect.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Yeah, of course.
Hello, and welcome. It has been far too long since you, Duval, have sat here in the hot seat with us.
I'm
It's been 2
impatient.
weeks for me, and I'm already missing it, so I'm ready to rock and roll. So let's see. Let's do the usual beginnings. Beginnings are wonderful things.
Sure.
Starting things off.
So are endings.
So are endings, but
tonight...
we'll get there. The end of Hideyaki as you know him?
It might be.
Spoilers. All right, let's start with
I don't have a backup character. I just like to remind people.
I've tried to warn you. The fact that you haven't made them yet.
I have strategically ignored your instructions. That is very true. You have warned me multiple times. Anyway.
We're gonna start things off by thanking the Breakfast Club, because these are some of the most important people to us, and we appreciate so very, very much. We appreciate every single one of you that come here and support us. But we are extremely, extremely grateful to those of you that are willing to support us with a little bit of monetary backing as well, and helps us actually create the amazing things that we want to create here. Our dreams, our visions are set so sky high, and we know that we can really make it happen with y'all's support, which sounds so much like and brought to you by PBS. It is not.
And viewers like you. Actually, ironically, yes, it is. Thank you.
It kind of is, though. But it really did sound like that. No, but very, very specifically, I'm so excited. We have reached 10 members of the Breakfast Club, which is, again, for anybody who doesn't know, people that support us via either Ko-fi or Patreon. But very particular thank you to Alchemist Nitru, to Carrick, to Hawkmere, to Velcor, to Camp, to Don, to Keone, to Demiluna, to Fumu, and to Pengu. Look at that. I have to take a breath between them now. This is amazing. So exciting. It's so exciting. But y'all, 10 people means that we hit the milestone marker for 1-star Shinobi to write a fan fiction set in this Outcast and Outclassed universe, which is freaking phenomenal. I'm so excited. However, as lovely as a fan fiction is going to be, which I'm literally so excited for, just a gentle reminder that if 2 or 3 more Waffles, disembodied voice, two more members, and you can get a live reading of this just straight to your ears, our dulcet tones, our characters straight to your ears, and then
another one-on-one, actually, I guess
5 more, including those 2, not like 5 more on top of that. 5 more people joining the Breakfast Club, and then Waffles will write his very first fan fiction, and that one is going to be Arc Hideyaki, just as a reminder.
Just a real quick polycule, no big deal.
Rivals to question mark.
Exactly.
Rivals to question mark. It already has a title. Look
so
at
much
that.
tension.
So much. I love it. Okay. So very, 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 very big thank you from us to the Breakfast Club. If you are looking, I'm going to talk about the Ko-fi goal a little bit later when it goes into the VOD as well. But thank you so much, y'all. It means so much to us. As always, we have 2 really cool affiliates that we love and you should go support. They have 2 different, one's WafflesMapleSyrup, one's Waffles Maple, 2 different codes you can use to get 10% off. They have so many cool things like wonderful smelling candles. They have other ttrpg accessories. They're both really awesome, wonderful folks. So please go check out The Crafty Gamer and 1985 Games. You can check out the links in chat. That is it for my immediate thank yous, because this is a little bit different than usual. This is our one-on-one sessions. So next, I turn it over to the guest of the hour.
Hi.
The one and only. Hey, yes,
it's
Waffles, the disembodied voice. Excellent. Perfect timing. No, Duval, you wonderful human being. Maybe human being. I hope you're a human being.
Have
you been lying to us this whole time?
I may be a Terminator. It's
maybe
possible.
a Terminator. All right, human being / potential Terminator, Duval. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us where we can find you on the internet?
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Plick, Duval King Jacob, where you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, where I'm yelling about how awesome everything is, and on Instagram, where I have pictures of my dog. They're on Twitter, too, actually, because I just post them everywhere, because Cooper's so cute. Anyway, I'm a co-founder of the Amphitheater, which is my home away from home on Twitch, where we play ttrpgs and video games, and with empathy and diversity at the forefront. And I'm also the DM of Duval and Dragons over on twitch.tv/so-many-games, and a whole bunch of other stuff that's less important than what we're doing right now, which is something that I've been waiting to do for so fucking long. And tonight, as per usual on this channel, I play Hideyaki in Kolta. We both use he, him pronouns. He's an empty sky Kitsune summoner. He's got a dragon of Overnosa. You don't. So sorry for that. Boy, I'm so stoked. He has been, I was selling syrup and waffles right before. He has been begging to show up outside of my brain for over 2 months. I've literally had 3 dreams about him. So
I must be doing something right.
I don't know. I think you might be. You might be. I don't know. Whatever. We just tell stories out here.
I love it. Thank you so much, Duval. Hey, y'all. If you haven't supported Duval yet, if you don't follow Duval out on the internet and all of the amazing things that he does, please go do so. He's a wonderful person. We appreciate him around here. So go also appreciate him everywhere else. But me, yes. Well, please stalk Duval, but like you know,
with consent. Please ask consent before stalking me. Thank you.
I am Syrup, your resident GM badass. You can find me at Revica_Syrup on the internet. I also randomly realized I hit 600
I saw followers, that. So congratulations.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate
and it happened when you were talking shit about me. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful?
That's all I gotta do. Now I understand. You want to be internet famous? Just talk shit about Duval.
Just say yes.
Don't clip that. Don't do that. Do not spread that. I love
there
it.
It is.
Okay.
And it's done. Kidding.
No. Y'all, let's jump really quick to something that's super important. We have a variety of safety tools in place to keep the cast safe and comfortable, you as the audience safe and comfortable, and our show as accessible as we can make it. So, if you want more information on that, you can look at chat, and then if you have any more questions beyond that, you can reach out and talk to us. We have a Discord, we have all sorts of cool stuff, and we love to share all the things that we do to make this safe, and we think that there's so many things that you could do for your home games and everywhere else that you play your games as well. It's really good, it's really useful, and in situations like this that I pre-warned Duval right before this show, make sure he has the safety tools, because who knows where this show will go.
Let's fucking do this.
That's not daunting at all.
Not at all, and it's literally what I was hoping for. Anyway.
With that, I think that is our usual preamble out of the way. So I can now say, welcome to this one-on-one episode of Outcast and Outclassed. Dun, dun, dun.
And Waffles is Overnose's laugh.
It is, yes. If you ever hear a disembodied voice, that is just Overnose's laugh. Don't worry about it. Or worry about it, depending.
This is not the weirdest inside joke, and I'm here for it.
Y'all, the only quick announcement that I have is if you look right down below this screen, I'm going to pretend that I know where. I'm just gonna, if I point down here, you can't see it here, just look down below, just somewhere. There's a really cool Ko-fi goal for season 2, Outcast and Outclassed. Art. We love art. We love to support artists. We want new art for season 2. We're putting so much love and effort into making an amazing season 2 for y'all. And if you want to share some of that support, even if you don't want to be a monthly member and join the Breakfast Club, you just want to share a little bit of love for that goal, please do so. It'll help us out. It'll be awesome.
Especially when Hideyaki loses an eye tonight or something.
Oh my god, yeah. You want your left arm or your right arm? Which do you like?
Choose. He's right-handed, so...
So right hand to take away, understood.
Yep, that's what, yeah. Expert mode, yep.
Y'all, that is it for tonight. Because this is a one-on-one, we don't do our usual other stuff. That's a-okay. So,
yeah, because tonight's about me.
I see the puns in chat already. It's gonna be great.
Yep, gonna be great. Can't wait to close that tab. Anyway, what was that?
Yeah, I moved it. I learned from the Star Shinobi one-on-one. I love you, Star. I had chat right over here, and I totally read it while I was jamming. Not a good idea. Chat's over here.
I was thinking about that today, and I was like, I probably should get rid of it.
But we're delaying the inevitable here.
Yeah, let's go.
So instead, I will say, see you in class.
Let's go.
welcome back. Okay, so we'll begin. The way we begin most of these one-on-one sessions. Maybe all, we'll see. After the attack of the Anadis and the final meeting with Teacher Ott, things begin to slowly return to a sense of normalcy at the Magaambya. You're waiting for the famed Janatimo to return to campus. This individual who is not only Teacher Ott's own beloved mentor, but from all that you hear, one of the Magaambya's cleverest lore speakers and leader of the Uzunjanti. The teachers and packs of students running about with important missives and missions transitions back to outdoor classes and strolling students. The weather, with its innate sense of timing, seems to be transitioning along with the current events. The hot days of summer are beginning to cool. Touches of early autumn are felt in the air, and everyone seems eager to maximize their time before the rainy season begins anew. Hideyaki, you've been here 9 months now. Soon it'll be a year. But right now, you're in Teacher Ott's office during office hours. And office hours are beginning to wind down. There are only 3 students here today. One working directly with Teacher Ott, and you hear the hums of encouragement as they propose a solution to the very problem they came here to ask Teacher Ott about. And it's always a wonder how he manages to do that. And the second is poring over 3 books simultaneously, deep in focus, transcribing a particularly lengthy section of magical theory. You found it best not to disturb her. And the third is the one that you've been tutoring. And they are a newer, earnest student that was so eager to begin their lessons here at the Magaambya, only to find out quite quickly that it did not come to them quite as naturally as they hoped. So they're here for some extra help. But after today's session, full of encouragement from you, you watch as their face lights up with realization. Oh, because it's evocation. It's like you said, Hideyaki. Right. I'm not creating it out of nothing. I'm shaping it from what's already there.
Exactly.
They close their eyes.
I know, it seems obvious after a while, right?
Yeah. Okay. And you see them like just close their eyes and reach a hand out. And they whisper the verbal components. And they start moving their hands in the somatic. And then suddenly you see this before they do, successfully coalescing a spectral mage hand in front of them. They open their eyes. And you watch as they just well up with emotion. I did it!
Yeah, you did. Nice job.
Thank you so much. This is... It, like, the spell, like, dissipates as they stop focusing on it. Like, ah, shit. No, I can do this. I can do this. This is awesome.
You're going to be surprised when it just becomes second nature and you don't even think about it. And he cast Mage Hand.
I didn't even see you do the verbal components. How did you... You see them try to, like, mimic you a little bit. They're like... And it almost shows up, but they're not quite. And they're like, I think I still need to say the whole incantation.
Totally. Yep. Because see, what I did was the component I hid in one of the words in the previous sentence.
You can do that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Remember, it's not just about what's around you. It's about you and your connection with what's around you. And then
you see him as you're talking, he's like kind of like mimicking your movements a little, trying to like really earnestly embody everything you're kind of teaching. Cool. Okay, one more time. Wait, I don't have to close my eyes. Okay. And they try to do it again, and they do successfully do it for a second time. They're like, yes, okay. Teacher Ott, I think I got it now. They kind of just call over. Thank you so much. Thanks, Hideyaki.
Sure.
And begin to kind of like gathering their things. As the students disperse, because office hours are kind of coming to a close now, Teacher Ott begins to start returning the books to their respective places, and you also begin to collect your things. But as you do, go ahead and make me a perception check.
First roll.
First roll.
Not awesome. Where's Star Shinobi for where the fuck is perception? 17.
I almost wore that shit today.
I was it too. Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, the students have dispersed already. They have all left, and y'all just kind of cleaning up from the day. And with the 17, you don't hear the door open to Teacher Ott's office. So it's kind of a little bit of a surprise to you when you hear a soft at the entrance to the office. And you look at the same time as Teacher Ott, who also did not pay attention to this. And you see a pale, dark-haired student with a bright purple coat. Ignacy. He notices you as he's stepped fully into the room. Now, he's entered the room. You did not notice the door open. You did not hear his footsteps, as he is now a few feet in through the door. The door closed quietly behind him. Teacher Ott, I see you're still busy. I can return another time. I don't wish to interrupt. And he's standing there with his arms folded politely. How do you immediately react to this?
I think like he kind of spins around, listens to what Ignacy has to say, and then like kind of like cuts an eye towards Teacher Ott, and just sort of waits just like a beat.
Teacher Ott, at this point, kind of. Oh, right. You did have a question today, didn't you? No, that's fine. We're wrapping up. You're kind of looking at Ignacy, seeing this sort of like very rigid like posture. Looks over to you and he's like, I think we're done here.
Okay.
Feel free to head out if you're done.
Okay. Later on, I do have a bit of a personal follow-up question for you. Not really urgent or anything. Looking at Teacher Ott.
Okay.
And then
do you wish to ask now, or we can?
Actually, I could ask you both.
Oh.
At the same time.
Ignacy had like half a hand to like ready to like head out the door as well. Just Ignacy just sort of is like nonplussed, is like, well, you do you, and Teacher Ott's like, whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, a precursor first. He kind of points at Ignacy. Now that you're up and about, how you feeling?
Oh, perfectly fine.
All right. Interesting. So, I've been thinking about the last couple of days how quickly everything sort of kicked back to normal. But I don't really understand it. I recognize, though, that me and my cohort and I experience is vastly different from everybody else's. They didn't experience what we experienced down there. But I can't help but feel like... No. Look, when I was young, I read a lot of books. And in those books, a lot of books were heroes. And they would have these awful and then amazing experiences, life and death scenarios, then eventually come out on top. And then there was pomp and circumstance, parades, and all kinds of amazing celebrations, days named after them, holidays even.
Ignacy kind of like sweeps like some of his hair behind and is just like, do you think you deserve a holiday then, named after you, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not even saying that we deserve any of that. It just seems odd that it's, for the most part, did really anything happen to anybody? With the exception of us and my cohorts?
I was stung by a bee.
Yes, you were. That's why I included you in the us.
I believe Okoro managed to learn a thing or two with the beetles, right? And kind of looks over at Teacher Ott. Teacher Ott's like, well, yes, everybody really behaved admirably in the face of such danger. You all as well. I'm a little confused, Hideyaki. Are you asking what others have gone through?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the, what's the term? The cognitive dissonance? Is it because...
Cognitive dissonance.
Yep, dissonance? Dissonance.
Yeah.
It's a big word.
Well, I would say
word.
that... Yeah, it's a vocabulary... Like, you see Teacher Ott's like a little bit like, yeah. Well, the individual experiences are probably best to talk to the other students about. I'm sure you have lots to share. But
I do.
Hideyaki, this situation was not one that, we were expecting nor wanting.
Sure.
And I, as the teacher for you all, I'm immensely grateful that no one came to any more harm. And I, to be honest, knew that you all had quite the team, I will say. So I didn't expect you to run into Stone Ghost himself, but I am incredibly grateful for how you successfully handled it and proved yourselves. I'm so immensely proud.
And I do appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad to hear that. Thing is, that's exactly what I expected. I absolutely expected to run into Stone Ghost, and I absolutely expected to confront them, and I absolutely expected to defeat them in whatever way made sense.
Ignacy mumbles something under his breath. Can you make me another perception?
Of course I can. I'm gonna use a hero point.
You have one this session.
I do. But I rolled a 1, and so I'm taking that away. That's
okay. All right.
Oh, much better. That's a 27.
With the 27, you hear it clear as day. Though it's mumbled under his breath, you hear, so he's egotistical then.
Yes, I am. But, which sort of is why I'm bringing this into your purview, Hideyaki. It's so forward. Actually, why
he's talking to himself.
I know, right? Why I bring this up in front of you, Ignacy, because I noticed over the past little while, like you're really good at focusing time on yourself, and I personally am finding it a bit, speaking of egotistical, I guess, being a hero is a bit lonely.
Ignacy kind of looks around. Teacher, perhaps I can come back another time. This doesn't quite seem to be a good moment. I can perhaps reach out later for a better time.
No, don't worry. I was actually getting ready to head out, but I did want to ask you something
Teacher Ott looking like a little uncomfortable at like how to handle this weird like tension / like rivalry that like he was really not expecting. I'm very sorry to hear that you're feeling lonely, Hideyaki.
Yeah.
Is this something you've talked to your cohort about? They've experienced some of these things with you.
Nope.
Well, perhaps another time when you can schedule some sessions with me, or we can find someone in Natambu if you are more comfortable talking outside of the Magaambya. But we can chat about this in more length, but perhaps it's not the place to do so in front of other individuals.
Sure. I just thought maybe you could understand the feeling of loneliness. And like,
do you look at Ignacy for that?
100%.
Ignacy does not make eye contact with you.
Yeah. And he walks out the room.
So you step out, and it definitely seemed like originally when Ignacy came in here, there was a very direct point to like he had come to ask Teacher Ott a question about something. So from your just basic extrapolation of stepping out of the room, outside of the conversation that you then had, you can imagine one of a couple things. Teacher Ott is very good in his branch at creating new magic. So perhaps Ignacy wanting to ask him questions about that, about building something of his own. There's many reasons to be individually talking to in a private session, but you know that he could have come to office hours because people do that as well. And yet he very purposely waited till after office hours and scheduled time with Teacher Ott separately. Mm-hmm. All those thoughts cross your mind just kind of in the moments of him coming in there.
He was just taking advantage of the situation. That's it.
And as you step out, you look around and the hallway is completely empty. It's perhaps kind of around time for like a lot of other classes that are in the midst of classes, and you kind of hear a teacher lecturing at some point down the hall. You do have this like in this little hallway. This is the building that a lot of teachers have their offices in. So there are some benches along this the walls here as well where people kind of sit and chat and things like that. So I will say there's an opportunity here as you leave the room to not quite travel so far. If you wish to listen in on perhaps what Ignacy is going to be talking about, and if that's not of interest to you, you can go on. It's not me leading you on. I'm just letting you know there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm just dangling a carrot. Nothing sus
here. He'll lean a foot on the wall and take out a very familiar red book.
Okay.
And he'll wait. And he'll read.
I'll wait for Ignacy. Okay. This red book, is that the one that you picked up from the circus?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I will say this. If this is your first time kind of going through this book.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say...
You think you'd have done it already at this point in time?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is fully a front, and you're just trying to listen in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let's take a step back then. If you've already read this book, do you want to get an idea of what information you have kind of gathered at this point in time from this book?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a quick sidebar over down this way.
Yeah, we're making game time decisions here, people.
Very on the spot. So this book, this red book with kind of gold inlay lettering, has a very basic plain cover. All that it reads in these gold letters is Followers of Fate. When you open the book, there is a symbol on like the front cover. It once again repeats the title as they always do, but this time has a little symbol. It is inside a circle, a pair of shears cutting a thread.
On the nose.
curiosity piqued at this point in time, wherever you're reading this, you continue to read. You learn of this group, this religious group called the Followers of Fate. You learn, this is going to be like base knowledge, I'll say, about what's in this book. I'm not going to have you roll for like finding information from this book because you're just having time to just really read it.
Yeah.
So what I'll allow you to do is, while you have this book in your possession, unless of course you give it back, you can make recall knowledge checks about the Followers of Fate with a +2. But I'll give you kind of like a very overview anyways. So
yeah, sure.
You learn about the Followers of Fate. They worship this being known as Norns, beings known as Norns, as deities. And so those who uphold Norns as deities, that's who the Followers of Fate are. Norns doesn't quite talk to you a lot about what Norns are, but the name is there. And you read two things as you read through. There's Norns, and then it speaks of Norn triumvirates. Just from your, Latin knowledge and from your nerdiness in the book sense, you know quite easily what a triumvirate means. It means something made of 3.
Yep. Because I'm a nerd.
And you see that some people worship specific Norn, some people worship a Norn triumvirate, some people worship all Norns as a whole. It talks about how there's like clerics that do so, there is, bards that use them as muses. It just talks about, it goes into like all of these things. This is really all about the religion. And you learn about their edicts, about making predictions of the future, offering advice and guidance to those in positions of power, providing comfort to the elderly. You learn that the areas that sort of like that they deal with is in destiny, in fate, and in the aging process. And as such, that's part of why, some of their edicts are to provide comfort to the elderly, respect the elderly, things like that. And yeah, it just kind of goes into all of that as you read into it.
Okay. But it doesn't say what they look like, i.e. trying to put together my little trip.
I will say there is probably on certain pages, very few, artful depictions of beings. Usually, you'll see kind of like in one depiction, which is like 3 different people, all like kind of like dancing around this one string that seems to be like through, and it's very artful. So it's not like, here is like a scientific journal, here is the Norn, right? It is just these
artistic
emotional interpretations and depictions that show, these 3 women dancing around a thread. You see scissors in one, like the shears in one. You see all of these styles of things. So I will say, if you want to make, let's just make it a flat intelligence check for this. So I'll lower the DC. Just putting 2 and 2 together.
It's not awesome. 13.
13.
10 plus 10.
You see enough. It's black and white like depictions of these things. It's not really full color renderings. None of these are particularly set in a forest. None of these really have a scale of how large this individual is.
Sure.
You see 13, but for a flat intelligence, that's not terrible. So I will say there's enough of individuals. So some of the depictions of women have long braids, which is like, oh, that's kind of like a connection. You see the thread and the scissors, and I think it's enough for Hideyaki to say very, very strong maybe. You're not 100% certain, but you are able to say maybe.
Strong maybe.
But anyways, that was the past.
Indeed.
We're back here. Now, as you're fake rereading this book, staring at this like one picture of one of the Norns or whatever.
Just sending it to Overnose in the astral plane, just like
yeah, you're like, here you go, dude. We're gonna make a perception check to see what we can overhear that's happening in the classroom or in the office, rather.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be aight. We're gonna be aight. 24.
24. Ooh, I like it. Okay. 24. Let me roll something.
Oh, snap!
Okay. So you hear Ignacio's voice. There's like some throat clearing, and you start hearing like little mumbles of conversation. You don't pick up every single thing. It is through a door, but you are kind of able to pick up threads of conversation. Teacher Aunt, you notice, speaking louder than Ignacy. So you're kind of doing a lot of context placing as well for the parts that you're missing with Ignacy speaking relatively quiet. But you do hear Ignacy say, the masks that we've obtained during the attendant ceremony. I had some something. Can it be protected against? You hear Teacher Ott a little bit more clearly. Protected against? What do you mean? They certainly any developments that you've faced with them, they are to be utilized in whatever capacity that makes sense for you. Are you finding some more intensive properties involved with them? No, you hear Ignacy. It's simply, you mentioned it taking on the owner's true spiritual face, you mentioned, and I was just mumble, something you miss. Well, certainly we could consider precautionary measures, but I don't think you have much to concern yourself with in that regard, Ignacy. No one here is going to utilize it in that. Respectfully, Teacher Odd, I understand. But the question still stands. This is what I'm looking for information on. Would you be able to provide that for me? You hear a pause and some silence as you hear like a creaking of a chair as Teacher Ott kind of like leans back, almost like contemplative. I'm sure there's some protective magics we could start as a basis for, and we could see if we can, make something that's more suitable. Are you looking simply to protect? And he's like, well, Teacher, I am quite specialized in the relics and rituals and information gathering that is involved with these. And specifically, it's not a protective spell that I'm looking for, as much as a way to ensure that no one can utilize something, mumble. This is the gist of the conversation, though it goes in a little bit more depth. Eventually, you hear some books opening, and there seems to be some discussion. Are you staying until they are done?
Absolutely.
You're staying. Okay. Perfect. So, you wait, you probably maybe take a seat at some point on one of the benches, and you wait for them to have finished their discussion.
Depending on how long it is. Like, if it's like 5 or 10 minutes, he'll chill. If it's like 15 to 20 or 30, he's like, Jesus Christ. Go.
Yeah, I think what it does is it goes from a questioning, which is what you were initially listening to, of like, hey, can you help me with this thing, to when like you always kind of like you stiffen up a little bit because you are close to the door to hear all of this. You stiffen up slightly whenever you hear like shuffling or movement, and then creaking of chairs again. And then eventually what you think is that they seem to be like hitting the books. They seem to be like looking through things, and like you hear at one point like the Archorn Library might have a bit more in depth of this, and like you see that like they're sitting down for like a session. It's probably going to be a lot longer than perhaps you were originally anticipating. Do you?
Yeah. Then I'll. No. Well, I'll sit. Yeah.
Okay, you'll sit. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's like 20 plus minutes, 30 minutes even before.
Yeah.
They are done.
On the edge of his patience, it's just like, oh my gods.
Do you sit there and like read the whole time, or like what are you doing at this point? Like how are you passing the time?
I think he's like reading a little bit, and then he's like talking over and over, just like they really could just talk all day. Is this what it's like? Oh, I'm so proud of you! Amazing. So perfect. Exactly what I was hoping for.
No.
Oh my god. Hero point to Waffles.
Absolute hero point to Waffles.
Totally. For use in 2 weeks. Okay. What was that?
Sorry. Had something in my throat.
I mean, I know you've been focused on something else. You've been a little quiet there for the last little bit. Speaking of loneliness.
It's not been particularly quiet. I've been here.
Well, typically you're just like, let me out. Or you always have something to say.
I've just been tutoring kids recently. I don't really think I'll be of much help in that regard.
I guess that's fair.
Sort of idle chatter kind of goes through, and to set that sort of tone as well, you are always available to be kind of idle chattering with Overnoza. He's always in your head in that regard.
Totally.
And so he has been like, he's been around, but there is comparatively been far less for him to very literally do.
Right.
You know, you sometimes manifest him for the day any which way. Other times you don't. It's really just sort of
depends on the situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But eventually, the door to the teacher's office opens again, and Ignacy steps out. He sees you immediately. He clocks you. Turns back around. Thank you, teacher. Closes.
As soon as he says, turns around, and says, thanks, teacher. The book is closed as loud as possible. Like the echo in the empty hallway.
Mm-hmm. And he starts walking away from you without saying a word.
He'll wait till about near like that, like when he's about to like make a turn. Got what you needed?
He pauses, looks back behind. Yes, I did.
Good.
The beginning of one, anyways.
Sometimes it's all about, this is what he gets up. Sometimes it's all about the right start. Speaking of that.
Continues to walk.
And he's starting to walk too. Speaking of that, actually, if you don't mind, I had a question for you that I've been meaning to ask for a while. Unless you're busy.
Is that why you've been waiting?
Yeah.
What's your question?
So, let me sort of preface things a little bit. We've been loosely acquainted really from the beginning. Me mostly wanting to really understand what's inside your book, and you just being like, no. And he kind of winks with a bit of a grin. I was curious about something though. And I hope that you didn't think me accusing you of lonely was super inappropriate, because I genuinely don't know. And I'm trying to do better about making assumptions about people, because I'm only like 40% good at that. Sometimes I'm just like really locked in, and then other times I'm just like dead wrong and like not even in the same stratosphere. Anyways, what's important is this. For the last several months, I've noticed something about you.
I'm going to say really quickly, you've been talking like this, and at this point, like he's been walking out of the building, and you've been kind of caught up to him a little bit and starting into this conversation. Normally, especially when you smile and wink at him, what you're used to with him, even though he is very reserved, is definitely he has some response to that. Like he isn't like completely stone-faced the entire time. As he's walking out of here, and as you're kind of talking about this, he is stiff, standing fully straight. He doesn't respond to your like any of this. And then you've gotten to about where you are right now in the conversation.
Yep. Okay, cool.
At this point, you have left the building.
Yep.
And gone into campus, and you're kind of walking in the direction of the dorms. But you have passed through like the open courtyard area and kind of gone onto one of these paths. In this current moment, there's nobody that's around with you. And he interrupts you at this point in the conversation. He's been waiting. And you see him pull his book out and just round on you. Why were you listening in on our conversation?
And I think he's like a bit taken aback by that because it was right in the middle of a sentence or a word, probably. Well, Ignacy, I've always been very curious about what you're working on.
You're trying to find out my secrets? And you see his hand is like to his side, to his belt.
He like has a bit of a frown. I have since day one. How is this any different?
Openly questioning me about my book is one thing, but listening on conversations in an attempt to be covert, and poorly at that, is something else.
At any point, if you were that upset about
it,
first of all, at any point, you could have, if you knew that I was sitting there listening, you could have just walked out and confronted me about it. You chose not to. So you don't get to be upset at me for listening, because you made a choice.
You don't get to tell me what I can and can't be upset about. And he like just turns on his heel and just stomps off in a direction, not toward the dorm, not towards anything else.
Tried to grab his arm.
Make an athletic check.
I'm terrible at these. Yep, just awful. 10.
Okay. So with that, you reach out, you try to grab his arm, and like the touch of your finger touches like the outside of the cuff of his like jacket, and he is gone. You don't get a grip on him, and he's off. And what you do see as he swirls away, like where his jacket kind of like shows, he has a dagger like on his belt, and that was close to where his hand was going.
Sure.
And he stomps off. You hear over Noza in your head, what was that about? Keeping things interesting recently?
I think he just like literally like this, his head like hand in on his face, a bit nonplussed really by the reaction. I think that's an understatement over Noza.
What were you after with him?
Just really like, what is he on about? Honestly, he's been so damn shady.
Do you think? What are your theories?
Well, the 3 times that I can think of that I clocked him was specifically about us and our cohort. At least, I mean, I don't really know. But when you're looking at us and you have your big ass tome like this and a quill, and you're just like, I again trying not to make as many assumptions as I used to here, but I don't know how you can't see that that's about us. What's ironic, though, is in my mind, it's not all that much different than me just listening in.
I'm pretty sure he's secretive from what I am seeing. You've caught him taking notes about you, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or your cohort. Do you think he perhaps was okay with you seeing that? Think that he was trying to hide it and you caught him? Or do you think he was just simply okay with showing you this?
We didn't really get that far.
Hideyaki.
Yep.
What might be some reasons that he's taking notes about you all?
Intelligence gathering. Maybe he's about to recruit us for some sort of secret societal club here at the Magaambya, but probably not. It's probably just his way of getting to know us. I don't know.
You feel like the non-verbal communication of like, you can manifest me if you like, so we can actually talk. You're not like talking in your head standing here on the path like.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
And so Overnoza kind of stands in front of you and begins to sort of like walk along the path like with you back to the dorms. I can think of one more.
Yeah?
You said intelligence gathering. That's, I feel like, tangentially related.
Especially with that conversation we just heard.
Be taking notes because he looks up to you?
That would be nice.
Does it have to be an ulterior motive?
No.
Again, if
but
he's
it would be way more fun.
Would be fun. Are you taking your boredom out on this young man?
I might be. Yep, definitely. I think that's totally fair. Yep, I think so. It's really weird because you would think I would not be envious of life and death confrontations. But something that I've learned about myself recently is the adrenaline that comes from those. I do miss split-second decision making.
You see Overnoza kind of contemplate as he walks. A field trip, maybe.
Where?
Perspective. Is there anything else you wanted to do today? Do you have any other classes? And you don't. But if there's other stuff you wanted to do, you can.
Nope. I think I'm pretty. My calendar is clear for today, I guess.
All right, let's go to the dorms.
A field trip to the place we were going to.
Have you eaten?
Come to think of it, no.
You see Overnoza like correct course and go like a little bit past heading towards like the cafeteria. Let's get some food in you first. And
where are we going after that?
To get some perspective. Kind of like takes you over to
you and Nasi are a lot alike.
I somehow doubt that.
Oh,
and you go
half truths and lack of pleasantry. I think so. Some things in common.
Oh my God, chat. Oh God. Don't look at that. Don't.
No, Waffles, you betrayed me. This is about to be serious. No.
You go to the cafeteria. And you get some food. Is there anything like before we move forward? Is there
not
anything
mangoes?
Not mangoes. You avoid the mangoes. Is there anything else that you would like to do before going back with Overnoso?
Is Okoro around?
You can easily look for him. It's honestly, it's not that far from lunchtime. You're probably like a little bit early. So we'll say like he can be, you catch him like jogging in near the end of your meal.
Hey, Okoro.
Yeah.
And he's yelling, and he's just like, oh wait, and he walks over there.
And Okoro's like jogging up to you at that point,
right.
like, yeah.
Hey, really quick, just wanted to check in with you. I know the last few weeks have been super dicey, and some scary stuff.
Yeah, it's been a lot. But I'm good. I'm pretty okay. I'm working on a new game.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of like so there's tiles that are kind of like, so I was inspired by the caverns and how like they kind of like close behind us. So every time you go into a room, like your exit closes, and it's just like, and he starts like, well, I don't have to get into it, but like if you want to play test it sometime, I can maybe bring it over. I haven't written them all down, the rules yet, but I can do that if you're not interested, are you? That's okay. I don't have to.
Don't take it the wrong way. I am just like not right now. There's a lot of I'm thinking. Look, I was actually coming to talk to you and make sure that you were okay, and so clearly, based off of that, you are.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I sort of like process a little bit. So I'm okay overall. It was rough, and I feel kind of bad that I didn't know what to do, but y'all came and helped, and that was awesome. So thanks.
Sure, anytime.
And Ignacio's fine, so that's good too. Like, he didn't die. Oh,
physically,
I'm sorry.
definitely.
That. You see, he looks around for like, and you can tell he's looking around for Tal.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. I think physically he's fine, but I don't know about mentally or emotionally. You?
Not really. I mean, we play games together a lot. Like he's really good at like card games and things like that.
Is he part of the testing for this game?
Yeah, we have a gaming group. He likes to be a part of that, but he only sometimes comes. Like, I wouldn't call us friends exactly. I don't really know that he has a lot of friends. I've never really seen him have friends.
Yeah, seems
so
lonely,
I kind of know
right?
what you mean. I don't know. He seems pretty okay with it. I mean, like we do stuff occasionally together, and he's like amicable. And I know he like works with Chiziri sometimes to like brew things. I think he's really into like alchemical stuff. He's really good at crafting.
True. Yeah.
But that's all I really know about him. He doesn't share a lot outside of like school stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe one day we can work on maybe just unpacking that Ignacy, whatever he is.
Like a puzzle?
Sure.
You see him like light up and then kind of like immediately like restructure. I mean, that sounds super fun. In terms
He's a
of
person,
like,
and persons aren't puzzles, and
yeah. I want to kind of respect his privacy. He seems
boundaries and stuff.
More uncomfortable if you ask questions. Like when he first got here, we would all like ask him, and he would just kind of shut down. And like we've kind of just learned that he likes it this way.
I have learned that a lot.
Yeah, are you okay?
I think I'm all right. It's been hard, but
yeah.
I think I have
you guys killed,
little.
You guys, the Stone Ghost. You guys killed him.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Sorry. That was
no. It's weirdly, if I'm being very honest,
yeah.
I feel really great about it.
I mean, you should. That's a really awesome feat. Like, I don't know that I could have done that. That's amazing. Y'all are just got here and you're like blowing us out of the water.
I think that's part of it for us. I can't speak for everybody, but especially situations like that where you walk into, in this case, a room and you don't know what's about to happen, and then suddenly it's them or us, and then your heart starts to race and split-second decisions and boom, bam, things.
Timers. That would go really good in the game.
Oh man!
Sorry.
What a good game. No, it's honestly, hey, if this conversation is helping your like game development, it's a worthy time investment for me.
You just kind of hit on like the really good point of like the investment aspect, and if you're just kind of going from room to room, then it can be kind of like monotonous. But if I put a timer, that was what I was missing. If I put timers on it,
get the heart beating.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm gonna think. I think Zokan has like the little, like the little hourglasses that track minutes. I'm gonna go look for them, and you see them like
and there's like a spring, and then you like automatically flips over, and then you're just like, oh my god, it's starting, and then there it is.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I could frig it. Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks, Hideyaki. Thank you so much. And you see him like turn around and run out of the room, out of the cafeteria, and you realize like he came in here to eat. And he did not. He just got in here. He just ran right back
out. Gone. Yep.
Yeah. And so you're kind of just left there in that immediacy of like, okay, good talk.
Yep.
But you helped him.
Hideyaki really loves that guy. Yeah, and he's just like grabs like a sandwich, something quick. He's raring to see what Overnose is wanting to go to.
Okay. So you head back. You Overnose like nags you just like one more time to make sure you're drinking a lot of water and something like that. And it's a little, again, he's not giving you all the answers.
Never been concerned about my level of hydration before.
I'll tell you now. I don't. Okay. Do you have classes tomorrow? You do have like a couple, like 2 or 3 classes.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
For sure.
How important are they?
Is this an overnight trip?
I don't know.
Are we going to Natambu?
No, we're going to be in your room. But we're also going to be not in your room. I've not done this before because it's incredibly taxing on your physical body. He's kind of finally talking about this as you enter, like, the room. I think it may have, if I had done this when we first connected, it may very well have killed you.
He interrupts, and he goes, wait. Are we finally strong enough now? Are we going to the astral plane? Are you taking me to the astral plane? Is that where we're going? Are we going there right now?
I'm going to try to...
Let's go! Runs to the door!
Yes, that's why I didn't... After he gets the food, and then, like, follows after you. And he goes into your room. He closes the door behind you all and says, okay. Again, this is going to be incredibly taxing on you, Hideyaki. I need you to I know you're already thinking about I need you to focus on me. Okay?
Okay. Sorry. Okay. I was seeing what I've read and like, is that going to be true or is it going to be different? Okay. All right, cool. Focus. Chugs a bottle of water, chugs a second bottle, a third bottle, a fourth bottle.
No, okay. You're going to have to, okay. And then he begins to direct you into parts of a ritual.
Okay.
I will say this is not a ritual that you can learn right now. It's incredibly complex, and there are times where he himself takes over with what he can with his dexterousness. Like, he is still a dragon that can do some of the markings himself, and he begins to work with you on a ritual. Now, we don't have all the components for this. However, I believe our connection should supersede that, and I can try to do this a little bit differently. So, and this process is so difficult for you because it takes an hour. It takes an hour of preparing this ritual. At which point, like, by the end of it, like, you're like, oh shit, I have to pee from all the water chunks. And you run back, and you see him beginning to, like, finalize.
Going to. Yep, totally.
It's like the parent being like, do we have to go to the bathroom before we leave the house, children?
Right. We just finished dinner, and before we go out of town, does anyone have to pee?
So finally, it takes like way too long for your liking. You have everything seems to be ready. You've moved some things out of the way. What he does is he takes like a couple cushions and puts them on like in the center where you're going to be like sitting, and he's just like making sure that you're comfortable basically, and then steps in with you and he says, okay, sit down.
As he sits, do you remember when you said you were concerned about if I could become strong enough?
Yes.
I mean, there's no doubt we've become a lot stronger in the last 9 months for sure.
You really have.
It's dangerous how good I feel about that specifically.
I'm glad that
But I know that this is still just the beginning. So as excited as I am, I'm not underestimating how much work we still have to do.
You see him look at you, like, he takes a moment. Like, up until now, whenever you've been, like, taking that extra second, he's still been working, and he stops and looks at you. I'm glad to hear that. Really. Now listen. When I say so, I need you to unmanifest me.
Okay.
All right. And he begins with you in a lot of sort of tandem movements between you and Overnoza casting this spell. But you've cast spells with yourself before, and this feels different. This feels very much like you're not casting it, but you're helping. Like in rituals that you've done before, it's like being a secondary caster. Eventually, gets this moment where you've both been focusing. 3, 2, 1, now. Go ahead and make a fortitude saving throw.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, okay. 23.
23. Level 4. You're level 4 now.
Yep.
Okay.
14
Perfect.
plus 9.
You feel yourself sitting in this circle, and you watch as Overnoza disappears and unmanifests. And simultaneously, you feel your perspective begin to shift. But you feel yourself sitting down where you were. But your perception is shifting. But you're staying still. But you are moving. But you're sitting still. And this sort of confusion overwhelms your senses as your spiritual essence separates from your physical body. And the dizziness and confusion of these dual senses forces you to shut your eyes for a moment. And then you open your eyes. And you find yourself in a sea of misty silver and gray, swirling energies. You found yourself in an empty void where there is nothing except this mistiness, etherealness. You open your eyes and find yourself in the astral plane. Around you, nothing. But go ahead and make me a perception check.
Survey says, find me a dragon. 21.
21. Nothing. And you try to focus through.
Swimming? Like
You are held and weightless, and gravity does not exist, so you feel your fur, but you feel your fur just directionless. You feel directionless. There is no up, there is no down, there is no left, there is no right. You are floating in nothing. With that 21, you said, correct?
Yeah.
Slowly, you try to start discerning from this just galaxy of gray. And slowly, you see it shifting and morphing and flowing like a sea. And distance is the most confusing thing here. And you look down, or what would be down, you're not sure. You look towards your body. You see below you the most massive, writhing, flaming sun. You have no idea how close or how far it is from you, but you see it moving. And you look around.
For the warmth?
No.
Or any cold
sensation?
Yeah.
You start to try to pay attention to it. And you realize that you don't feel it. And then you try to once again, and that, because this is also like in the second that you've arrived here, and you look and try to say, like, feel yourself, and you get just this hint of the sensation of your physical body still sitting, still where it was. And in that moment, you look and turn your senses. Whenever I say look, you're beginning to kind of switch from physical looking around to just turning your senses and your attention to a different area. And you pay attention to that connection to your physical body. And see from you this long strand flowing in here in this sea. And you kind of try to trace it, and you see that it's kind of coming out from like the top of your head. You can't quite see it, but that's where it seems to be moving. And it is this silver cord, your tether to your physical body. With that 21, you see something else glint. And you see, not coming from this same strand, another strand that glints to existence and disappears, and you swear you see a golden thread that seems to have been knotted and tied around your wrist. And it's not there, and it's there, but it's not there. It's very hard to focus on.
I think as soon as he says it, he just goes, "Hey, Tal."
It glows for a moment in that thought as your mind drifts to Tal, to envisioning Tal. You see it strengthen and form more than it has before, and then goes back. Hideyaki, you hear the voice in your head. Do you hear me?
Is it coming from, like, is it in my head? Like,
it's in your head, like when he's unmanifested.
Okay. Yeah. This is amazing.
I'm glad. Do you see anything? Where are you?
I see a star. I guess it's a sun. Gossamer, and I see everything I hoped it would be.
You start looking a little bit further. You see swirling in this silver nothingness areas of denser flowing movement. And you see what seems to be endlessly far away a river. It looks like a river. And it flows, and you see at a certain point it branches off and disappears. What do you do?
So I guess since you were asking me where I am, I guess that precludes that you don't know where I am. So how do I get to you? Can I get to you?
Is that where you want to get to? I brought you here
question.
to gain some perspective. I care for you, Hideyaki. But playing with others' emotions for your own boredom, it's a dangerous place to be. I brought you here to show you you can be a part of something bigger. Where are you? When he says part of something bigger, what is the first thing that kind of enters Hideyaki's mind?
His cohort. The future.
In some of the like swaths, like paintbrushes, just kind of like smearing in front of you of this like silvery nothingness, you begin to see in front of you some of these thoughts that you have just suddenly kind of brought into the forefront of your mind. What do you think of? You think of Arafe? The last conversation you had? Go ahead.
Tal first, because he's looking at the thread.
Yeah.
And then Arafe.
So you see Tal's face kind of show up, and in this like glistening material. And it's both in color and not, because it is not made of anything. It is your thoughts formed in front of you, glittering. And you see Tal's face, and you watch her ears kind of flatten back and look away as you think to the conversation in the picnic when she first brought up the choice that they had made. Why do you feel, you hear Overnose's voice in your head, that a lack of trust means a rejection of who you are? What is the next thought that comes into your mind?
What? Like at the question, just what? And I think like because he was like, his initial like plan was to like everyone that he cares about, boom, 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 and then Overnosa asked him the question. I guess it's not. I don't really know.
You see in front of you the manifestation of not as much a paintbrush on a canvas and so two-dimensional, but an ethereal recreation of your father turning around and walking away after the ceremony. And almost like a wind which you don't feel blowing the image and dispersing it.
I don't know if I think that anyone's rejecting me.
You see an image of Arc 2 closing the panel on his neck. No. And it disappears.
I mean, that was fine. That didn't upset me at all. But maybe my want for knowledge can get in the way of my want for connection.
You see Ignacy storming off, as it just happened not that long ago. There is no voice in your head for a moment when you say that. And you look around and realize in this sea in which you are floating and untethered to anything, that for moments there is nothing. And you are directionless, aimlessness, like just empty. And the mention in Teacher Ott's office of loneliness strikes a chord in you in this moment, in this vast nothingness. What is the next thing that Hideyaki thinks of in this moment?
Stone Ghost.
You see Stone Ghost in reverse from crumbled nothingness on the ground from Arafe's last blow, reform in blocks and pieces in front of you. And you see him yell just directly at your face, but hear nothing.
That's a perfect example. I was hoping to find some level of connection there because that anger felt so familiar to me.
Stone Ghost continues to rewind. And you see only part of the scene. You see only Stone Ghost. You see him step backwards and disappear into what you know is a wall and reappear over there, stepping forward, and in doing so both backwards as he walks in reverse time. And you see a scene that oddly you do not recall ever knowing. Perhaps an echo of Stone Ghost somehow affecting this space. And you watch as a younger Stone Ghost, no longer made of partial stone, but a human young man, just rage and slaughter the gremlins in front of him. It dissipates.
Yeah, like as that happens, he tries to like wipe it away.
Mm-hmm.
And then, almost as if to attempt to wash that away, Arafe pops in.
You see Arafe sitting on the ground in a picnic. And you see her in all of her uncertainty, looking up to you, hopeful. And you remember the words that you said at the time, though again, you don't hear or see yourself doing so. And you remember the words of belief that you imbued in her. And you see, almost in sharper relief, the comfort that it brought her. The affirmation of who she is outside of her lack of memories. And you see the good that you've done for someone so close to you. that lingers a little longer.
Almost as if like to reach out and like try to force it to stay for an extra second. You asked, where am I? That hope. Hope I can provide in others. That's where I am. Even if I stumble and make people walk away. Because I pushed too far.
You see yourself floating. You feel yourself shifting a little, turning your body around. If it was gravity, perhaps you'd be completely upside down at this point, and yet it is still the same, but simply facing another way. There, in your sights, far above you, more massive than perhaps you ever really envisioned, you see a shimmering golden ancient copper dragon as the Overnosa, the real Overnosa, not this manifestation that you normally see, looks down at you. Is that why you keep pushing people away? You see him kind of extend a claw outwards, and you feel yourself beginning to pummel backwards away from him. And you feel that perhaps you have a power here, a moment to counteract this, because he asked, pushing people away, and you feel yourself falling away from him.
Guess I'm okay. As that does, he reaches out and almost as if trying to like reach out and grab like two nearby stars and then just
launch yourself forward.
And doesn't matter how far away they are. I'll find them.
You find yourself falling suddenly in the opposite, not falling, like shooting forward in the opposite direction from where you were falling, grasping onto nothingness and yet feeling those stars and pulling yourself forward, striving to reach towards Overnosa. But distance here is fickle and weird. And you feel yourself shooting and you see Overnosa, though you also feel the distance still and how far he is away from you. What do you really want, Hideyaki? You see his lips and his maw open and close as he speaks to you directly from this astral being.
It's no different than what everybody wants. Just to be part of something cool. He just laughs. I mean, no one's ever going to believe me.
What do you want? What do you want?
Kind of like just like goes like kind of like goes slack for a minute, just kind of like woosah. I want to connect people. I want to see the world. I want to tell stories.
Suddenly, you find yourself far closer than you were before, still flying impossibly fast towards Overnosa. And you see him both transparent and there in this astral sea, glittering in a nebula, of copper stars. And suddenly, he is impossibly large compared to you, and impossibly close. There are so many stories that we can tell together, weaving and connecting so many people.
I think that's just it. I've kind of got most of what I wanted already. So maybe what I really, really want is to just give that to other people. Over and over and over and over, wherever we go.
But Hideyaki, you're not alone. I'm here.
So next time I trip and fall down, you take me to the plane of fire?
You hear this chuckle reverberate within you as it emanates out and fills the warmth and acceptance and appreciation for your tenacity, for your striving, for your wants, emanate out from this ancient copper dragon. And you feel to your core an appreciation of Hideyaki, the ever eager, ever studious, ever getting into trouble little kid that was going to his choosing. And you feel that connection and the reason Overnosa chose you all that time ago in this full-bellied laugh. And you feel a trueness to Overnosa that isn't always there, this appreciation for storytelling, this appreciation for joy that perhaps in his time here, you think briefly to the moment you first came here, for the emptiness, and you realize the contrast of how this dragon is stuck here in this nothingness. And you realize how much he equally relies on you. And how, when he says you are not alone, a little bit of that echoes to him as well. You reach out. You are still ever traveling closer. And you feel something brush your fingertips. And at the same time, you hear in your head, this is the scale of things to come. You and I are meant for greater things. We will tell even greater stories together. So don't get shaken by so many little things. We'll get through it all.
Maybe that's why I'm not so scared about all of the conflict, patrons, dragons, stone ghosts, threats we don't even know about yet. They're just stories to tell. We just don't know what they are yet.
Yes. What you need to do is figure out how to make the now a path. And you see in front of you this like classic winding cobblestone path begin to emerge and out from in front of you. How to make the now a path to your future. With the words future, you see your cohort at the end of that path. And as you feel yourself begin to pull in that direction, like a yanked tether from the silver cord behind you, you find yourself falling back into your physical body.
And as soon as that happens, he just overwhelmed starts bawling.
You feel yourself settle into your own body once more and overcome by so many physical sensations at once. You realize that time, you've learned this in the past, time does not pass in the astral plane. You do not know how long this has been, but your body feels like your stomach is so hungry. You look outside, it is pitch dark outside the window. You are thirsty, your mouth is dry. You still have to pee. And all of these sensations and all of these emotions just coming crashing down, you begin to fall. And as you curl forward, you feel something pressed into the palm of your hand. You open your hand. There is a single larger than what you're used to seeing, copper scale in your hand. You feel it radiate with magic. And you just know that this has come from the dragon over Noza himself. And albeit a little earlier than I anticipated.
Not quite.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
He gets up, goes right to his desk, and though exhausted from a field trip, begins to write 2 letters.
Okay.
The first one.
Yes.
Is for a small pen pal in the city.
A little kid.
Little child. And it says, "Don't worry. I didn't forget about you. I was just busy, saving the school. I can't wait to show you and tell you about it next time I'm in town. Don't forget to keep studying." And then he writes a second letter.
This one I am very curious about.
For Star specifically, I said I named the Google Doc "A Letter to Hideyaki." It's a small tribute to Star. But it goes, "Dear Dad, I hope the trip back was peaceful and you and Mom had a lovely time in Natambu. I haven't really had much time to go into the city, and I hope to sometime in the near future. I've grown a lot in my time here that I suspect in our previous meeting I was at times unrecognizable, and at times that same immature kid that you know has a lot to learn. The reality is I've conquered a lot here, and not by myself. I have mentors, confidants, students, friends, maybe even family. How else could you describe being broken down physically, emotionally, and mentally as we have together, and still being strong enough to come out the other side, all while spilling blood, sweat, and tears all over this campus and beyond? The term resilience comes to mind. We were able to discover and defeat the mastermind behind the attacks on the school. It's a victory that I'm grateful for, and it was well earned. But it seems while the school has moved on, the scars that has left on my heart and mind still strike a chord with me, and I feel my cohort may feel the same. But even as we move forward, I wonder what else is around the bend for us to conquer. Putting that anxiety aside, this leads me to the point of this letter. My endlessly more patient and humble than me catfolk friend once advised me not to make promises that I can't keep, and to assure my words mean something. Lately, I'm even finding words seem to fall into platitudes without the actions and plans to justify them. So to you, Dad, I don't make a promise. I make a vow. I will return to the village and we will have a solution to your disagreement with Overnosa. I know both of you have your side of this tale to tell. I would also love to represent a connection point and establish a relationship between the Magaambya and incultatories further than my admission to the school, perhaps by way of trade. This is something I'm sure you've considered or may even be already doing. I'm happy to sync up with you to make this connection much more powerful. I may not be the best at negotiating, not yet, but I do know that people believe in what I say and what I do, and I'll start there. My smarter than me glowing blue android friend, if you ever tell him I will deny saying so and all evidence will be destroyed, has taught me timing and focus. Sometimes you can't overwhelmingly win, sometimes you can overwhelmingly lose. It's what you do in between those things that can be the difference between life and death. A lesson I have learned incredibly harshly and not one I will likely ever forget. Strangely enough, also, footwork. My connection with Overnoser grows daily as my abilities and know-how. I'm eager to continue to show what I've learned and what I teach. My kinder than me fetchling friend has taught me that growth comes in many ways, and that empathy and understanding is not only a good place to start, it's the right place to start. Something that if I'm being honest, still struggle with. But consistency is important as well. I have often thought I had all the answers and controlled and anticipated all the questions. But I've never stopped to think and simply ask, how can I help? Or how do you feel? So, Father, how are you feeling? I'm sure seeing Overnoser and I work together could be something you were unprepared for, and I'm sorry about that. But also, I believe you've done your best with everything and everyone you're responsible for, and I'll question that no longer. I have washed away all thoughts of conspiracy in my mind as I choose this day and every day to trust. And as hard as it is to believe, a ghost made of stone taught me sometimes it's not all about you, and that you can lose yourself in the oblivion that is selfishness and drown in hatred and misunderstanding. The villain in my story, or so I hoped. There's so many more people that I've learned from, and though there was great hardship, danger, and even death, I'm grateful to be here. I imagine your frustration with me has always been that I seem distracted by the worlds that live inside my imagination. But in moments of bleakness and despair, I found reasons to fight, reasons to hope, reasons to continue, and in some cases, that knowledge has kept me and my friends alive. This journey I'm on could be a year, it could be 10. But I believe I'm ready. I'm ready to listen. I made a decision to pursue the future with Overnoser, and that journey continues. But for now, I have 2 villages, and every day I choose both. I hope to gain the ability and strength enough to earn that trust as I try to care for both. Today it feels naive and overcommitting, but Tambu wasn't built in a day, I guess. Perhaps one day that's Tambu for village number 3, and hell, one day the entire Mwanga expanse, even the whole of Galarian. Maybe even the Astral Sea, which by the way is as amazing as I had hoped. I hope I get to show you one day. And beyond even that. I try not to create barriers, as the saying goes, reach for the stars. In the meantime, less attacking bugs at the next family reunion, I assure you. More food, drinking, and merriment. I'm proud to be in Colton. I'm proud to be your son. I'm proud of who I've become and where I'm headed. A wise young Kitsune once told me that strength comes from many forms, and that believing in the people around you is strength. So I choose to believe in you. Speaking of them, say hi to Kazushi for me. I'll continue to journal, and if you choose to read these, you can monitor my progress. Hopefully I won't cause a logjam in the mail system by sending 7 days worth of letters every week. I'll make one copy for myself, and one I'll send to you. Oh, and if the Sojourning Song Circus comes swinging by, please make sure everybody goes. It would mean a lot to me and to my friend Tal. And it's seriously one of the most incredible experiences of my life. Try the cotton candy. And if you need to pick me up, try it twice. Proudly, Hideyaki and Kolta, attendant of the Magaambya, leader of the future, and Kolta Charisse forever. And then in Draconic it says, Where papre, we eat men. Where papre, we hiss me. Which means the future is bright, the future is ours.
The letter is written. The exhaustion hits you. Clutching this astral dragon scale. I will send you later. It's properties. Know for us and the audience, it is a spell heart, one we've custom made for you. And this scale of a copper dragon glistens with the shimmering light often found in the astral sea. You'll be able to affix this either to your armor or to your weapon. And
what armor?
will affect both you and Overnoza. But with that, as we go to pan away from this scene, as the exhaustion hits you, you recognize you will not be able to manifest Overnoza tomorrow, for the energy between you two has been pulled to its max for a while. You're going to be exhausted and recovering. You may miss some of your classes. It's okay.
I rolled a natural 20. Whatever. Who cares?
But us, the audience, and our favorite camera crew, jump back to the astral sea for a brief moment. As flying through this nothingness, following a river there within the astral sea, we see, Hideyaki does not see, a pale woman with dark hair, a web-like mask covering their face and their eyes, except for their mouth, on these white devil-like wings made of spiderweb. Flying through and around this river, pause and turn her head in some direction. And then deciding to turn away from this river and following its course, begins to fly, flapping their wings flawlessly, passing through the space as if they belonged here, until they reach one shimmering golden strand that appears for but a brief moment. They look at it inquisitively, and as they go to reach out to touch it, we see it just ping briefly and glisten before disappearing. And then you see them turn their head and look off to another direction. And you hear, interesting. They fly off to investigate further. And that is where we will end tonight.
Yay!
Yeah! Amazing!
So I had to tell everybody what I told Syrup earlier, which is like, look, we could just hang out in the classroom all day, or we could go to Astral Sea. I'm cool with literally anything. And then we did both!
Working on this, come on. Why not both?